Hello and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. We have a great show for you today. I have Melissa Fino here with us today. Hi. She is an award-winning business coach, a best-selling author of Little Miss Perfect. I can't wait to hear about that one. And she does many podcast shows. The other thing, she helps businesses scale and create, I guess, a better mindset. Is that I'm hoping
The
that's
unbreakable
right.
mindset. I also say unfuckable. You said I could swear here, so that's what I call that mindset.
Yes. You said unfuckable, right?
Unfuck with a bull.
I love it. Okay. So yeah, definitely. But before we get started, I want to ask you a question. How many weddings have you been to in the last 20 years, let's
Last
say?
20 years, I'd probably say about 20.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
do anything in the event industry?
No, I just have a large family, a lot of extended friends, and yeah. I used
Gotcha.
to
Okay.
work in the
Well,
restaurant,
the
but
in the restaurant, okay. Well, the reason I ask, we have lifeonrecord.com as one of our sponsors here. So usually when people come into the ceremony part, what is that book called they have to sign?
the register.
Register? I'll take that. Well, so what Life on Record does, they replace that book and do a vintage rotary phone. So the guests can go in and pick up the phone. They can leave a message for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 minits. But if it's a wedding, don't do 30 minutes. And you can be like, oh, congratulations. We're so proud of you. There are people go to, hey, it's about time. But they put this QR code right next to the phone so people can get their mobile phones, scan the app, and then they can leave the message before or after the wedding. Now, after everything is collected, they will burn into the messages will go into a 10-inch vinyl record. And then also they have this cute little boom box that they can put it in. So if you're celebrating that 1 year anniversary, and here's another trick, call before their 1 year because you get this phone number for 1 year and wish them a happy anniversary too. So they'll get those burned on there as well. And then yeah, they start their plans like at $99. You get the phone number for a year. And it's I wish I had a phone here to show. I'm just doing this, but it's vintage rotary. I'm trying to get one sent. But check them out at www.lifeonrecord.com. All righty. So, who is Melissa? I would love, I would love to know. And tell something we don't even know about you.
Well, I'm an open book, so I talk about everything. So I don't necessarily know that there's nothing that nobody that nobody doesn't know. I mean, I've learned to talk about everything. So I everything that I shared in my best-selling book, Little Miss Perfect, is pretty much like my whole life story up until right around COVID. So right around the inception of my business and when it started to ramp up a little bit. But it talks about the fact that I'm a high school dropout. My parents had an arranged marriage, different suicide attempts. I was in a domestic violence relationship. I just talks about all of my times where I never felt like I was good enough, or also where I spent time living in the comfort zone and not truly allowing myself to expand into the greatness that was available for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I'm a high school dropout. I dropped out at the age of 16 and I ended up going back to college at the age of 32.
Okay.
Yeah, and then getting my associate's degree, getting my bachelor's, and then getting into the University of Southern California, where I went to get my
Wow.
master's. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up going to like one of the most prestigious universities here in the States
Cool.
after 18 years of dropping out of school.
Well, it wasn't your time then. So,
No, it wasn't. And so I really love where I am now because I've actually like been able to combine all of that academic experience that I have from a later age, all of that knowledge, as well as all of the kind of like life experience and self-doubt and lows that I had, and put that into where I am in my business so I can truly connect and understand where a lot of women come from.
That is good. And I going to school later on could have been really good for you too, because you're learning the trends right then and there. So, which is nice. But I look at this year, we're about to get what AI, and that's all going to change. So I'm seeing courses pop up. Oh, take AI, and we're going to teach you this and that. And I was like, oh, more studying.
It's actually very interesting because AI is great, but if you don't already have the knowledge to put into AI, then it's really like everyone is like, oh, it's going to do all of this work for you, but it can't really do the work for you. Like you have to have some foundations to build upon
Um,
in order to get that.
Yes, agreed, 100%. So it talks about, I mean, you've been through, we got touchy subjects here. So let's go back and get this one out of the way. The domestic violence is
Yeah.
really important. How
Yeah.
did you get away from that?
So, I this is this is so normal for everyone. I have patterns that I learned from my family, and this doesn't mean anything from my family. I love them to death, but it's the same thing. Like they learned those patterns, and then I was the first
Mhm.
generation to learn how to break it, right? So this is no
Yep.
judgment on my family, but so I learned some patterns from my mother, where it was people pleasing, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of high achieving, but doing those things for kind of love.
Yeah.
So I never felt like I was good enough. And this put me in very vulnerable situations. And in all
Hmm.
actuality, so this relationship that I was in was in my early 20s. I'm now in my mid 40s. So this was a while ago.
Yeah.
But so I ended up attracting a man who was also so vulnerable and not feeling good enough and having the same problems that I had, which are just, struggling with understanding who you are, being able to articulate your feelings and your emotions and thinking that you're not good enough. And so his reaction was more verbal and physically abusive, you know,
Gotcha.
and my reaction was, this is love, because that's what I was taught.
I went through that too, girl. Yeah, I help
Yeah.
people. I did have a meetup group called Surviving the Narcissist, and I helped so many people there. It was short-lived though, because it was attracting people that shouldn't be there. So I had to close that down. And I was like, well, I'm going to get back right into that and,
Yeah.
start teaching more about that too on this, because that domestic violence, those numbers, especially during COVID, went ooh,
Oh,
way
yeah.
high.
Yeah, so much. I did so much research on it because I was trying to, well, I wasn't trying to. I was doing a lot more conversations around it, and that was right when my book was just published. So, because I have my master's in social work, I've done a lot of like
Yeah.
internship work in different areas, and I did a year-long placement, the Crisis House here in San Diego, and that was kind of a nonprofit for domestic violence, but also food shelters and that sort. So a lot of the profits from my book will go specifically to that place. But I
That's
also,
good to know.
yeah, and I also learned so much more while I was there. It was kind of like, um, it was 15, 16 years later. It was a different perspective. And the truth is, when all of that was happening to me, I never spoke about it. I never processed it. I inhaled it and let it all in and
You
kept it all
bottled it up.
completely. And I didn't share any of this information until I actually published my book. So my mother read all of this in my book. Some of my best friends who I hadn't even shared it with read this all in my book. And so he um there was an incident when we were at a restaurant and he was in the restroom and he came out, and I had a voicemail on my phone from a gentleman that I was working with who was asking if we could switch shifts. And all he heard was a male on the other line. So he assumed that I was cheating on him, which wasn't the case, but it was
Yeah.
actually, it was a work situation. And I knew that he was going to get extremely violent and aggressive. So I left the restaurant and went into the parking lot, and I was trying to find, this was a long time ago. I was trying to call
Hmm.
someone or find somebody to bring me up to get me out of the situation. And he actually tried to run me over with his car in the
What is
parking
it with
lot.
the cars? That's happened twice to me in
Yeah.
my life. I'm like, and now I don't like a certain car. I'm not going to say it here. And every time I look at it, it triggers that. But yeah, I don't know why. It's either you're sitting in the passenger seat and they think they're a race car driver, but like, and then chasing you down. I don't know if that's happened to you ever. I hated that. But it was hard to even tell my parents and my mom. They would think I'd be making it up. And I'm like, no, I'm not making this up. This really did happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
So he was arrested for that. And so,
Oh, he got arrested. Okay.
no,
Sorry,
yeah.
I had to clap on that one.
Yeah, I mean, like there was some stuff that was going on, but I also didn't admit to all of it. But so there was a restraining
Yeah.
order placed and for about a year. And then that whole entire process really, I don't, but that whole entire process really stressed me out and freaked me out because at this point in time, I was still living in Connecticut. I live in California now. And
Hmm.
I had a year long, it was a protective order, not a restraining order. And I wanted to
Yeah.
continue it on. And in order to continue it on, I had to refile, go into court, refile, stand up in front of him again, and also state what my address was, where I was living.
No.
It's the most ridiculous thing. It did not make any sense. I don't understand how that was possible. So I didn't refile again because it just didn't make any sense. I couldn't like,
It's like, here's
but
the open door. This is where I live now. Here's the address. You can come and get me. That's not safety.
no, it's not. And then, like I said, this was 20 years ago, and this was a completely different situation, but that was how it had unfolded for me. And at the point in time, of course, this is always the situation. One of his best friends was an attorney. So he also knew a lot of the loopholes and how to get into, I mean, I was safe, but in my eyes, because of the way he had treated me and the instances that we had, there was multiple ones. I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that it wasn't ever going to go back into that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but
I'm
that,
so sorry.
yeah, thank you. But so
I
that's,
mean,
yeah,
I've been through it way too many times and it never like changes. It's worse and worse. But then it's like almost having a PTSD or anxiety attack too.
yeah,
What triggers, I know whenever I go back to Nebraska Furniture Store, if I park underneath, yeah, that's one of them because I had the security people come out and go, ma'am, are you okay? And they pinpointed him. And I just remember if I don't say yes, I'm going to be in so much trouble. And I said yes, but I didn't feel safe. And then we caught up in the store and he bought my lens for my camera. And I was just like, mm-mm. Did I
yeah,
take it though? Yeah. I needed that lens,
yeah,
but still, those are red flags. And it sounds like you've been walking on eggshells. And, we have to
yeah, not
set
anymore,
those
but
boundaries. Yeah.
I mean,
So
like that is a piece of my past and it's a lot of the work that I do, but I'm not
good,
walking on eggshells anymore. Do you feel like
good,
you
good.
are?
It depends if I'm dating somebody, but I set them loose right away. Like if I see a red flag now, it's like this is my life. I have these goals, and it was about self-love this year and patience for me. So I learned exactly what I'm looking for. But unfortunately, the people that I went on dates with had baggage that was hidden, I found out. And then other than that, it just didn't work. It just didn't connect. So is it hard to date in the 40s. Yes. There has to be an easier way, but I have new things coming up for my podcast that might help people. So I got to keep it. Shh. There's going to be a lot of new things coming up, but
Well, you said
definitely.
PTSD, so I definitely think that I experienced post-traumatic growth syndrome. So do you ever hear of that one?
Mm-mm.
No, so it's when
Say
you
it again.
post-traumatic growth.
Hmm.
It's when you
Mm-mm.
go through trauma or you go through a hard experience, and this was in a different part of my life, but where you actually shift it into going into
Yeah.
something like completely different. So like I had said, I was a high school dropout and I didn't go back to college until later. I went to college after my father passed away.
Hmm.
And so my father to me was God, like he put me up on a pedestal. He saw me as something greater than I could ever see myself as. Like, like I didn't have conceptually, there was no way that I could ever see myself the way that he did. So when he passed away, I lost my shit. I lost my shit for like a year. But then I was like, I'm gonna have to be this woman that he always saw me as.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to change my freaking life. And that was where it was like, okay, you're going back to school. You're going to graduate with honors. You're going to do all of these different things. You're going to leave Connecticut,
Hmm.
go to California. You're going to get your graduate degree. You're going to open your own business. You're going to like completely become this version that he saw you as, like that he saw you as, or saw you as having the possibility of becoming. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So for
Yeah.
me, that was like losing my father was the catalyst for change so much in my life. And one of the hardest things that I had
Yeah.
ever been through, just because he was like my best friend.
It's hard when you're that close. I've lost two best friends, not any parents yet, but that's gonna be hard when that happens. And
Yeah.
I'm just happy they're still around. I know I was young, like 5 or 6, when my grandparents started to taper off. But, and then my daughter's telling me, you're going to be a grandma. I was like, Gigi, not grandma, but she's doing like August of this year. And I'm excited, but also a little nervous too.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so but definitely just talking about that and everything. Now you got out of that situation. What made you decide, hey, this is the point where I want to write a book about everything that's happened in my life?
Oh my goodness. So when I finished graduate school in the end of 2014, I was like, I'm writing a book.
Hmm.
When I was a teenager, I used to write poetry on my bedroom walls. And like one of my walls was like filled with words. I don't know how my mom let me do it, but
Magic eraser wasn't invented yet.
no, it was not. No, not at all. Um, but so when I got out of school, I was like, I am definitely writing this book. And I started my business then, and I started blogging more, and then like kind
Oh,
of deciding the pieces that I wanted to put together. Um, and then I got this book that was like the size of a Bible, and it had every publisher and like all these publicists that you could reach out to. And I would send book proposals out, like, I want to
yeah,
publish this is my idea, this is whatever. And it was right when the online space was kind of like starting to boom more.
good.
So I had a couple of publishers tell me that they wanted to work with me, but only when I increased my following, my social media following online. And
So
it was
that's
like,
the same for podcasts.
but
That's
it's
the
so it's like
same.
it's not as important as it was then, because now they've
Mhm.
realized how much it's shifted, because it doesn't matter how many followers you have if they're not engaged with, like, with your stuff, like that doesn't
Mhm.
matter. But so at that point I started focusing more on like getting a larger audience and whatever, and then I ended up shelving the book. And then COVID happened, and I was like, well, I guess this is the perfect opportunity to pick it back up again. And I ended up rewriting the whole thing, and it ended up being the perfect time, because if I had been accepted by one of those publishers in 2015, I hadn't had done enough processing or healing to be able to be as authentic as I was when I wrote it 5 years later.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That more time space, it's kind of a blessing. I heard like in the event industry, one couple, they had like a ranch house. They decided to turn it into a venue. So they took their money and used it to get a new roof and everything. I was just like, that's smart. And then you see all these new businesses popping up, and I'm like, whoa, okay, what is happening? But it's a good thing. But
Yeah.
in the event industry, it's kind of like a roller coaster right now. They're starting to pick up, oh, yes, wedding is good, let's spend more money. And it's great. But I don't know. It's just kind of different. There's different things that people want. I mean, I unfortunately see people are wanting musicians like cello players, violinists, keyboard, harp even to come with the DJ. That is one request that I kept getting. I never saw it. And then somebody else said in the industry, comedians instead of DJs. And I'm like, why? Why comedians? Well, they want to do business roast. And for me, that's cool. But then you're going to start seeing game shows, team building. It feels like this year is what people are going to want to do. So, yeah, definitely. So also you became a business coach. Now, tell us about that, how you got involved with that and what, if you can, what business, give us an example of what you do.
Yeah. So, like I said, I have my master's in social work. And during my last semester of school, I took a coaching and consultation course.
Hmm.
So, my trajectory was going to become a therapist. And I took that course and I was like, oh no, this is like so much more aligned. This is perfect for me. So, as soon as I graduated, I actually opened up my business then. Yeah, and
Okay.
it's been through so many different evolutions where it's like the name has changed and the clients that I'm working with have changed. And as I've grown and been exposed to more different clients, it's switched into business over the past, oh, it's 2024. So the last 4 years, and
Yeah.
over like 10 years of being in business. So
Uh-huh.
I have worked with so many clients. It's actually really funny because today I actually had a male oncologist reach out to me from Georgia who wanted to know if I could support him in developing his courses. And then I also had like a relationship coach who I've been connecting with
Good.
for we've been connected with for like 6 months today, who also just signed up for one of my programs. So I really work,
Yay.
yeah, yeah. I absolutely love what I do because everybody thinks that you can just go online and like slap the name coach or mentor or
No.
whatever on and
Mm-mm.
it's just going to be like people are going to fly in. Heck no, it doesn't work that way by any.
No.
No. So I take the small business owners and essentially it's like if you have a puzzle. I put
Mm-hmm.
all of the puzzle pieces together effectively so that they can make more cash at an accelerated pace. Because when you first go online and you start doing these things and you start to grow, it's so easy to focus on the things that aren't going to make you money.
Uh-huh. And yeah, I see that. I mean, I'm a photographer for the past 25 years, but it was like you got to build it, watch it grow, but you learn, yeah, hey, I spent this much time just inviting people to like my website. What did I do more productive? And
Yeah.
who did I
And rather than
reach to?
having, yeah, like rather than having conversations, because it's so funny with the likes on the website and that kind of stuff, because people don't
Hmm.
realize that you don't want to have a whole bunch of people liking your website who are never going to be your customer, because then you have a whole bunch like if it's on Facebook, the algorithm is only going to show it to a certain amount of people. So if you're
Yeah,
busy telling people to like your photography, like not you, but if you're busy telling people to like your page and
yeah.
you're in South Dakota and you have a whole bunch of people in California liking your page and you're like a local business, it's
You could fly me out.
worse. It's only making it worse. Yeah, it's like not helping you by any means. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, where can they find your information if they want to talk to you and book you
Yeah.
on that?
So my website is melissafino.com or Love Your Life Community, which was my business beforehand. So they're both linked to the exact same thing.
Okay.
You can find me on Instagram at I am Melissa Fino. My DMs are always open. And then Facebook, Melissa Fino.
Yay.
Yeah.
I started getting into TikTok for some reason. I like TikTok so much more right
Yeah.
now. That's just my opinion. But like I remember I don't even know if TikTok bottomed out. Musically, do you remember that one? You
No.
see, there was one called Musically, and I remember I would make like these cute little like bring Olaf and sing Christmas songs with him. But it was just fun to be playful like that. So, they were telling me with the podcast, you got to have Instagram, you got to have this, that TikTok. And I was like, I don't even know how to work TikTok. So I went to my 11-year-old son, help me. And he showed me, he's like, Mom, do you want a filter? I go, yes. And
Good.
so he showed me the different things. But, there's different things that I look at. And I know a lot of these reels and videos going out with the words, what it's saying. I know I should be doing it, but I don't want to. Does that make sense?
Of
I
course, it's
think it's
uncomfortable.
just,
It's uncomfortable. Once you start doing it, you're gonna be like, oh, I love it. Everything like there's so many things in my life that I'm like, I never want to do that. Now I freaking love them. Like,
I know. And then it was Instagram. Oh, LinkedIn, I'm trying to get used to. They do let you put at the very bottom, post a podcast or a video from YouTube, but then Linktree, I guess, was developed and it's like, you have a podcast? Yeah. So now I can go through and see all 80 podcasts that I've done so far. And I'm like, ooh, I can send this to this person right away. It lets me do all social media. So I was impressed with that one a little bit more, but I'm learning the whole LinkedIn thing. So I don't know. They said 2024 and everything. So Little Miss Perfect, the book
yes.
that you wrote. And are they able to get that like on Amazon? Did you do it in Audible,
So
Kindle?
the Audible is taken down because there was a mistake on one of the chapters and I haven't re-recorded it yet, but you can find it on Amazon and you can
Okay.
also get the first chapter for free on my website.
Yay. So you guys remember that. And I'll put all of these notes. And then the great thing about www.keephopealivepodcast.com, we have a store and I'm going to be posting your book there too. So they can watch the podcast and go buy the right away. So
That's
and
awesome.
then the other shows like the podcast you've been on, like well, how many have you done so far? And I'm asking you this because I've been trying to teach people that they have to have a website now in 2024 that has podcasts and who you interviewed with. That will help grow your business. So, how many have
I've
you
had,
done so
yeah,
far?
I've had multiple podcasts, my own personal podcasts, and I have also in the year of 2020 and COVID, I mean, I have been on probably about 100 podcasts and guest experts and different summits and all those other different kinds of things. And
Yay.
I have an as seen in page on my website, so you can literally go there and get redirected to a whole bunch of different places that I've been on. Yeah.
Yay.
I'm a
I love
business
it.
coach. I know all this.
So, you said you have your own podcast. Tell us about that. What's the name?
Yeah, I'm on a break right now. So I stopped in October, but we will be re-picking up. And it's actually the Income and Impact podcast. I truly believe that the more money that women make, the greater of an impact that you can have.
Look at you. I'm so happy for you. So that's good. I'm gonna have to listen to it. So make sure you send me a link really quick and then we'll put it on our Facebook group page so people can go and look at that also. So when you're helping scale businesses, is there a process or can you give us any insight?
Yeah, so I mean, it all depends on what your business is and what you're looking for because I have completely different programs. I have a four-step process that I walk a lot of my one-on-one clients through. And like I said before, I truly think every time you're stepping into something new, it's like a next level identity. And so there's something
Yeah.
within you that, like you said, I don't like doing this. There's going to be something within you that's like, "Ugh, I don't want to lean into this edge." And that's most often when you're going to want to find a coach who will support you in leaning into those edges so that you can attract what it is
Yeah.
that you really want, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first two steps, I support women in developing that completely unfuckable mindset. I have this like very unique process that supports women in like pushing themselves past their edges and being fully committed, being in integrity with themselves, holding the
Yeah.
standard so that they can attract what they want. And while they're doing that, I also simultaneously work on the back end stuff with their business. And that is essentially like their messaging. I love diving into that. So you're attracting that
And
client really perfect for your offer. I call them like perfect fit clients. And you also know the exact language that your
yeah,
perfect fit client is speaking, because so many people are like creating content based off of what they think somebody wants to hear rather than
yeah.
their ideal client really wants and needs. So I support you in ensuring that you're speaking to that client, that your offer is connected to what they want, also building out those email sequences in connection to that next level client that you want to attract. So as an example, I've supported some of my clients who had like one of them, she had a $60,000 launch. And then I supported her in changing out her whole email sequence, changing out the language that she was using and who she was attracting, as well as
Yeah.
like the psychology behind it. And she took
Hmm.
60K launch and brought it to a $240,000 launch.
Dang.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I mean,
Good, good, good.
it's not immediate, it's not overnight, but this is like the evolution of the work when you're, yes, it's
And
beautiful.
when you set your mind set like you do, you've got to go forward with that. As for this podcast, started back in April. And, somebody said, Nadine, your sponsors are amazing. How did you get so many? And I'm like, oh, but we're still working on those numbers to build up, and I go, it's just like the movie Field of Dreams, it will come. And the more it goes out, people are going to see that this is a platform to be heard, which it is, and tell your story. So it's very
Yeah.
important. So, I I feel like I'm forgetting something to ask there because I know we went through the book and everything and you're a business coach. So what else do you do? Do you have future goals for 2024?
I don't have any goals. I'm just kidding. I really
You're a
don't.
business coach. Come on.
No, I mean,
Maybe.
like, I have so many things that I'm working on, but I don't plan so much into the future specifically because I find that I'm a fast mover. And when you're a fast mover,
Yeah.
things change so quickly.
Gotcha. I understand that.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
So
Like so I really want to do a TEDx and I wanted to do that for a while. So that's kind of like one thing that I'm starting to wrap my head around taking off the shelf, you know? Um,
mhm.
but is it going to happen this year? I'm not necessarily sure because I'm also hosting two retreats for the first time this year. So it's like,
Yay.
yeah, there's a lot of new stuff that's going on. So there's, yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
And things will lead every day to new directions of where you can go, especially in this industry and meeting so many people. I kind of like definitely look forward to learning about their companies and talking to them and what they do and meeting new people, which is amazing because it is about the connection of your vendors when you go out there to visit them and stuff. It's not like, hi, here's my business card. Bye. Don't ever do that. So, but yeah, definitely. But yeah, I want to thank you so much for coming out and talking to us. There was one other question. Geez, why am I getting so forgetful? Little
isn't
Miss
that
Perfect. How did you even come up with the name Little Miss Perfect for
a,
the book?
I
I used
God.
to, that's a good question. I'm like, where is that
Yeah,
coming
it's
from?
like
There's a
because I
story.
struggled with perfectionism. So it was, it was always my version of trying to be perfect rather than being myself. And me being me seeking perfection was me
Hmm.
hiding myself. It was just all of that, right? So now
Yeah.
that I'm truly myself, I'm um the best version of myself. Like I wanted to say like the most beautiful, but it's just because it's authentically me. So it's not like an external factor, it's internal.
It doesn't feel good when you find out who you are. I mean, still can say I'm looking for acceptance. It's never going to come at all. And now I just stand up for myself. I'm
You need
trying.
to read my book. You need to read my book.
Oh my gosh. Well, send me copies.
I will. I will.
It's so funny because in my podcast, sometimes you hear me say, I like Audible. And I was like, okay, well, she's missing a chapter, but you did the own reading in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it hard to do? Like, I feel like if I was reading my own book, it would be hard for me. I mess up a bunch and
Well, that's probably another thing that I need to do as well this year. It was actually fun, but I did it in my home and it's kind of noisy in here. So I would like to get a
yeah,
studio and re-record it. That's the reason why I just took it down. Because just
yeah,
sometimes I need to spend like a couple of days with just redoing it. But it was fun. And
that's
my husband
cool.
did all of the side work of uploading it and doing all that kind of stuff. So I get
I remember the first season of the show, it's all audio. So I was using Audacity to do the editing, adding the music behind it. And it was a lot of work.
oh,
And
dude.
then I was just like, okay, I got a couple of my sponsors, two of them said, no, we really want to see you on YouTube. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I'm gonna be myself. If I have a bad hair day, boom, it's all curly. I told you before we started. I
Beautiful.
don't judge or anything, people, this is the real
Yeah.
me. You get the real heart. If I want to put my hair in a ponytail, I will. But you've done a lot and future is going to be looking good. I feel that you're going to be getting a lot of people wanting you to be their business coach and everything. I did maybe you gotta look at the podcast industry too and how to promote that. Well, there's people that write in every single day. I can take you to this number and number, but no, I get so many of them. It's just become annoying.
I don't cold pitch anybody. You come to me when you like my stuff speaks for itself.
Yeah, and I mean they're trying to be all like sneaky. I was on your YouTube channel. You're doing this wrong, and they do a snapshot. But you know what they do wrong? They call me sir. I'm like, if you can't call me ma'am or Mrs., we got problems.
Yeah,
I'm not talking to you.
yeah.
So, but definitely. So take down notes, those people watching these shows. So, but other than that, really quick, I wanted to say thank you, and we will have all your stuff online for our guests. You can always call Keep Hope Alive at 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673. And I would like to quickly thank our other sponsors. I know we talked about Life on Record, the interactive guest book. You can find them at lifeonrecord.com. Next would be the Dallas Fort Worth Bridal Shows, Inc. And if you are having a special event in the Dallas area, maybe you're in another state and want to come here for the event, our trade I say our, your trade shows are wonderful. So she does about 5 out of the year. So you can go meet the vendors and get their pricing and see their beautiful fashion shows. So check them out, bridalshowsinc.com. Then I'm going to get a drink of water because this is what I'm going to do. Mm. Then we have Miles and smilesevents.com. Deborah Rose, her background is an investigator. She's so cool. But she does handwriting analysis and lipstick readings and incorporates that into all her events, and they're wonderful. I've seen her in action, and my goodness, I didn't even want to go to the rest of the event. I wanted to sit there and see everybody else's reaction. That's how accurate she was. So check her out as well. Then we got Mr. Bryce Harney, the magician, the mind mentalist. It's www.brycemagic.com. He is traveling all around the United States right now. He's been on TV station TV. He does big corporate events, church events, and he's good. He's really good. So check out his website. And then we have richmondpunch.net. And he graduated from the Juilliards. He's a violinist, has been doing it for so many years since a young boy. Now we're all getting older, so we're older. But he has performed in front of 1 million people and had, like, I think he said 2 slots on a Lifetime show to play the violin, which was really cool. And then our last but least is TK Hair Salon in Plano, Texas. So everybody else come to TK Hair Salon in Plano. If you're a guy, girl, child, need a haircut, need coloring, perms, trims, if you're a guy, they do it all. So check them out as well. But wherever you guys find your podcast, you'll find us. And we have new exciting things coming up for 2024. I'm just in the mode of prepping as I sit down in the mornings and rest and everything, writing it out. But I will let you in. Now, Valentine's Day is coming up, guys. I want your love stories. Call them into that number, 833-780-HOPE. Okay. I want to put some cute proposal love stories together and share it to the world. So if you want to do that, let us know. All right. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. I'm just like, today I'm all chipper. So, Melissa, thank you so much for coming on to the show. And to everybody else, love and light. We'll see you the next show.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.